in my personal experience, because maybe I was one of the, first guys that start talking about this, and I belong to, my work is related with media because I am a technical director in visual effects. I always was behind the scenes. I'm start to use my professional contacts from my work in terms of television, radio, to trying to spread the word. And I started to create my own radio show. Trying to get outside from YouTube and trying to bring into real life. And I have a lot of interview in televisions and participate in a lot of TV programs, things like that. And so that is a little bit of the lecture that we're going to present. And of course, I want to give the welcome to Richard. He's also a Spanish.
Thank you, thank you.
Come here, Richard, please, please.
All right, everyone. Well, welcome to our little presentation here. My name is Ricardo Schmidt. Even though I was born in California, I grew up in Argentina. That's how at some point I ended up getting to know Ido, and we've become friends over the years. I want to start with a little story of how I met Ido Landucci, who happens to be a great researcher and a great promoter, speaker, communicator of this subject that we are all very much interested in, which is the flat Earth. I was working on my PhD at Texas Tech. I live in Lubbock, Texas. Working on my PhD when the time came for my writing my thesis. All of a sudden, I come across a YouTube video of Eric Dubay defending, the flat Earth model, and I thought it was a joke, like most of you. The first time you saw something about this on YouTube or whatever venue, you possibly thought it was a joke. I thought it was a joke, and I looked into it. Because of that, I wanted to get a kick out of it. And then Eric Dubay happens to be a very eloquent and very smart individual. He's a good presenter, and so I found him very interesting, and I found that he could back up his points. So I started looking into it, and all of a sudden, eventually my dissertation writing turned into flat Earth research, and I had to follow through, and I had to finish my PhD, which I did back about a year ago. But really, I started looking into flat Earth and started talking about it first with friends, and eventually, but all this info, all my research was being done with the speakers that we have around us right now. Even Zach here, you were part of, you were one of my teachers initially. And of course, Jaron and Globebusters and Eric Dubay and everyone. So when I decided to start speaking about it, I figured, okay, let's do this in Spanish. I haven't seen too much in Spanish. This is back in 2017, and I hadn't even looked into it in Spanish. So I upload a video talking about flat Earth, just a very simple video. I think it was like 10 minutes long or something like that. And that drew some attention, and it got me in touch with Ido at some point. He looked into it, he became aware of it, and so that got me interested in him. So all of a sudden I go into his channel, which I didn't know about until late in 2017. And you had been working on flat Earth for how long by then?
2015.
Yeah, so he had been on this for a while, and then I start looking into his material, and I realized he is, if not better, at least at the same level.
That is why I invite him right now.
That's how I get the big bucks from Ido. No, but I mean, I was very, very highly impressed by what he was doing, the way he was presenting material. He chose the live show. YouTube, what do you call them? Live show?
Hangouts.
Yeah, the live streaming. That was his format for sharing this material. And I noticed he was doing it so well that I figured, okay, we have a guy in Spanish. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We already have the man. All right, so I decided to start, communicating with him and trying to figure ways to get him to go from that format to more formal presentations for mass media. And that was my goal, not his.
Exactly.
But I shared with him my goal, and eventually we found, thanks mostly to him, but also the community that I became very involved with, we were able to push him from just, live streaming on YouTube to mainstream media in Argentina at the highest levels. So that's what our presentation is about.
It's about, yeah. Of course, we all have our social network if you want to follow us. I have also my, I was once, my first YouTube channel was shut down in 2017. No, 2018, so I decided to create a web page, trying to centralize the information. And, if you look today, you're going to see this kind of purge that YouTube are doing. So, a nice way, and I really recommend everyone who is in the community presenting information that trying to create some kind of, central information point to checkpoint, because you never know when you wake up and you don't have any more YouTube channel and, a Patreon account and that kind of things. We are presenting for everyone that maybe are close to Europe. We're going to present our third convention there in Madrid this time in January 25, so everyone is invited. And this, something that we are, let me try to put first in my head and then express, but we are like in the Spanish community, we are also one of the, you can say first, of course it's not easy, but this is like a, like a standard measurement, if you want to take in that way, how far we get, that in terms of, for example, right now we have a flat earth football team, official.
Yeah,
soccer
team.
Soccer team, exactly, in third division. And maybe you can see in a way that, okay, you have a third division soccer team, but it's not so easy like that. I mean, this is an official and professional. And the guy behind it, Javi Pobes.
Let me pitch in that soccer in Spain that's the #1 league in the world.
In the world.
So even a third division there is quite a big deal. So there is currently we have that, there's the little logo there of the Flat Earth Football Club, based in
Madrid. And
Mm-hmm.
the guy behind this, which is Javi Pobes, he was a professional soccer player, and he reached the first level of the Spain soccer, and he quit because he started to see how much corruption was in the football. So imagine that you are a boy, you dream to get there, and once you get there, you have the balls, if you want to see in that way, to take away, because you see how much corruption is in the soccer at that professional level, of course. So he started his own football club. It wasn't named Flat Earth, it just has another name called Móstoles, which is like a tiny city inside of Madrid. And we have in touch for a few years. He became a flat earther. He started, imagine just a soccer guy is like a Kyrie Irving situation, going to radios and trying to defend the position of a flat earther, being a soccer player. So you can imagine that kind of situation. But we start to get involved with him, and he became a friend of mine, Richard, and all the Spanish community. He was a really open guy, And this year, he decided to go to the official institution of the soccer in Spain and change the name and use the football club and the soccer itself as trolling the media, you know what I mean? Because everyone, you know, you can imagine on the news giving the result of the of the club, you know, saying, okay, the Flutter Football Club wins 2-0, and he's doing that, and you know, the soccer environment, the soccer institution get crazy. They don't even allow at the beginning to do that. And he present all the paper and say, okay, I am not outside the law, so I'm going to change the name and you need to accept it. And the first thing that he do was, in January, we give a presentation, a conference in Barcelona, and we officially present the team, and he sent it, a t-shirt, to the Minister of Education.
Oh, yeah.
Pedro Duque.
It's what's the name? Yeah, it's not a minister. It's a secretary of
Education.
Science and Education
Yes.
in Spain. Pedro Duque is his name.
Yeah, but the funny thing is Pedro Duque was an astronaut working from NASA. Supposedly he was outside the planet, and he is really, you know, he knows about the flat Earth, of course. In so many interviews, he was asked about the flat Earth, and he trying, you know, just to, no, but flat earthers are not my concern, you know. I prefer to, you know, avoid it, and talk more serious things like vaccinations guy, the denier of the vaccination, or the denier of global warming, things like that. So the guy sent it a t-shirt, and that was very funny. And he's also invited. This guy, Pedro Duque, is invited to the conference. Of course, he never came, right? Because he was an astronaut. And is the equivalent on Don Petit astronaut. He has this funny face. He's like a jerk, you know, like an idiot. You say, that guy cannot be an astronaut, you know. Supposedly the astronaut is the cream of the most intelligent human beings. And you see Don Petit, you know, you see Pedro Duque, and it's so funny, you know. But
well, in fact, he became Secretary of Science and Education after Flat Earth and after he spoke about Flat Earth. He was just first just an astronaut being asked questions about, you know, he was like a go-to person of science, kind of like a Neil deGrasse Tyson or whatever.
yeah.
And just recently he became the Secretary of Science and Education. And the same thing happened in Brazil, where the Secretary of Education and Science is also an astronaut. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, this is the guy. You know, I just play in a video because in Argentina, the main sport channel, they made like, this is audio, but it's in Spanish. You know, it doesn't matter. But this is the kind of, you know, the frontier that we reach in some few years, you know. And this is, for example, this is the brand of the TV channel, and this is massive in Argentina. This is
That's
super
like
massive.
Sports Illustrated, like what? Not Sports Illustrated. What's this? Mainstream sports? ESPN.
Yes, exactly. So we have also, you know, of course, if you are not Spanish guy, you don't know him, you don't know these guys. But just for, you know, trying to make the equivalent here. For example, this guy, this is Javi Pobes with a flatter map, giving interviews, you know, things like that. But for example, this guy is the actual goalkeeper of the Mexican soccer selection. So it's not just
Yeah, the soccer national team.
national team, exactly. And he used Flatter's t-shirts, and he's the actual goalkeeper of a team called Toluca. So, I mean, it's not just, you know, like third division team. We're talking about the national soccer team. Inside, you know, they have a flat earther inside, right? So that's really nice. This guy is one of the famous actors in Argentina called Gaston Pauls. This guy is the singer of a band called Cultura Profética. Of course, it's from Spanish community. This is one of the biggest writers, book writers in Argentina.
Alive, right?
Alive, exactly.
He has several books
Yes.
with Penguin Publishing Company.
Yeah. This guy is Kun Agüero. Maybe you know him. He plays in the Manchester City team in England. So this is one of the first class. We are talking about first class. But for example, this guy was taking a picture. This is a friend of mine in Ibiza. And this guy was like brainwashing Kun Agüero, to become a flat earther. And that is why he took this picture inside a party, just in the regular party. But this guy cannot go public, and say, I am a flat earther. These other guys, they do. But we have some guys that they never going to get outside, at least until they finish his careers, right? Because if not, it's going to, we are under this kind of Middle East, middle time, Middle East, Middle Age time. And this guy is called Basile, Coco Basile. And this is one of the most important technical directors in terms of football, soccer in Argentina. It was the last official national soccer team director that won something with the Argentina national team. So what I'm trying to say here is that we have a lot of really important people that can put the flat earth at another level. In fact, this guy once became an official flat earther. All the media that is related with sport taking his word and start putting in all kind of newspaper and articles, things like that. So a lot of people start reading that and start questioning and start becoming a flat earther. That is why we have so many people from the sport, and the sport right now in our days is like a Roman circus. It's not just a sport. And we're talking about soccer, you are talking about the biggest Roman circus ever made, That is why even they play in this kind of oval stadium, because it's what it represents. So,
Let me point out about Coco Basile. Coco Basile is the head coach a former head coach of the Argentinian national team, soccer team. And what that means in Argentina, at least, is that he's more relevant and more famous than many, many former presidents.
yes.
This is a big, this guy walks out in the street and people are stopping him every 10 steps. He cannot just walk, he can't walk the streets. We saw that in person.
Yes.
We saw it.
And in fact, this is in Spanish. I don't have audio from the computer. I don't know if any chance to do something. No? Okay. Give me the microphone just for. For example, this is one of the guys that works on that plays soccer actually in Barcelona, which is one of the biggest team ever. And for example, he was taking this live chat via Instagram with his son, that he lives in Chile because this guy came from Chile. And he was, just a regular talking, and this is what the children said to his father, because his father is going to ask him, hey, what are you doing? You are playing Fortnite? And the child say, no, I am researching flat earth. So let me just play it.
Ya, hijo, ¿estás jugando Fortnite?
No,
¿Qué estás haciendo entonces?
estoy investigando el planeta si fuera plano.
And the fathers, get laughed because, of course, he doesn't know nothing. But the idea is that this is how, using the mass media that we have, you can infiltrate and spread the word. That is the basic idea. We have also doing a few important documentaries in Argentina, and this was made, and I bring all the people that I mentioned before to the documentary, because the documentary is just a short one. It's about 30 minutes only, and supposedly it's going to base in my interpretation of the flat earth. But I proposed to the producer to say, hey, I can give you I can make the documentary, but it will be better if you include, important people, like I mentioned before. And so we produce, in a way, because I not produce it, but we create this brief introduction to the flat Earth. And because it's so many famous people there, it was really get out, and it was even was presenting in television, in regular television. So that again spread the word and bring the. Yes, in the Spanish community. Yes. Yes, and the nice was like because this guy and this guy and this guy are really famous people in Argentina. When regular public see that, immediately is going to resonate, and say, oh, this actor is, talking about the flat Earth, so maybe
I
it's
would
something
say,
important,
Iru, I would say that Gaston Pauls, which is the first
This
guy on the left, he is the equivalent in Argentina, in that little context. He would be like a Tom Hanks type of figure.
Yes, exactly.
This is not some small unknown person.
Hola.
This is very mainstream.
Yes. Yes, yes. Shut down.
That's why I pointed out to Robbie last time we met in Denver. I said, you need to look into what's happening in the Spanish-speaking world, because we have a better shot at cracking the system or whatever, because there's a lot of research going on. There's this guy who made a huge mess. This guy you have right here.
No, and even I present this in Globebuster show, but for example, we have pilots that are right now. This is from a co-pilot cabin sent to me specifically because I get in touch with 3 commercial pilots from Europe, and they've been following me like since 3 years. And just right now, they came and say, hey, I contact you because I follow you like 3 years ago, and right now I take the courage to not go public, but to start talking with you, so you can ask me whatever you need from perspective of a professional commercial pilot. So the first. Yes.
No, I think we're aware of those.
Yes.
I think he's
But
aware
no.
of those, but those weren't sent to him personally. This
No.
one was from a commercial pilot, well, co-pilot. in
Yes,
this
and
case.
they are so afraid they cannot go public because if they go public, they lose their job. So
Well, we all know that Dutch pilot that got grounded, right?
Exactly,
So we know
Yes,
what
the
happens
female.
to pilots who come out.
So what he did was send me a a camera from inside the cabin, and I add this text that said the horizon is always level, the gyroscope doesn't lie, and and he showed the artificial horizon, and then they put my logo in his maneuver. I don't know which is the name. And he do that just for, saying to the world, like, yes, there are pilots that are flat earther and follow channels of flat earthers guys. But this is also something that you need to take into consideration, why they have so much fear to go public, Okay, let me see what I do. Okay.
And we've had the same situation going on with, I've gotten letters from
Okay, that's his.
PhDs who have
Okay.
publications in
Yes, I have.
science reviews, what are these called? What's that? Periodicals. Yeah, exactly. But they won't go public. They don't want me to say their name. But they will write to us and let us know that, hey, we're very supportive, we're following. Please don't mention our name. But yeah, we get that periodically, not from just whatever guys, but from guys who are very much involved with science and academia.
Give me the mic again because the sound is not. So we call the presentation hacking the the headline because, we're trying to show this to you guys. And the idea here is this was our first conference in Argentina. It was made in a place called Columbus. So that was, intentionally. I mean, not intentionally. That was because the guy that proposed a place to give the conference, they live in a city called Columbus. So we made that conference there, and the media trying to laugh, say, Flat Earthers is going to make a conference in a city called Columbus, that Columbus was the first guy who made they start to putting into the mainstream, taking that like just as a joke, but they are, helping us to reach what our goal was. So this is a short video, about 4 minutes, and it's a compilation of all the top-level media that trying to attack us or to ridiculize us or talking about us. And it's just a short version. The original video is about 25 minutes, and it has the most important part. Of course, for the conference, I reduced it. And it's subtitled until the last 1 minute. I don't have so much time, but the idea is that you can understand what's going on based on this, with this video. I hope you can understand what is about it. Let me just change the audio source. Okay.
El 2 y 3 de marzo de 2019
You can
tuvo
hear
lugar
it?
el primer congreso terraplanista en Argentina, en la ciudad de Colón, provincia de Buenos Aires. Esta es una síntesis de su impacto más relevante en los medios de comunicación a la fecha, 17 de abril de 2019.
La semana pasada hablamos sobre conspiranoia en YouTube, ¿recuerdan? Sí. Hablamos sobre el auge de las teorías conspirativas y cómo YouTube las alimenta. Tengo información nueva vinculada a esto. La nota dice: YouTube desató el boom de las teorías conspirativas. De cómo YouTube empezó a castigar estos videos, no censurándolos, sino dejando de recomendarlos. Hablamos puntualmente del tema de los que afirman que la Tierra no es redonda, sino plana. Pero es muy poco y muy tarde, dice la gente. Yo estoy de acuerdo, ya que es mucho más profundo, y hoy vamos a enfocarnos en el rol de los medios. Acá,
Intenso debate en las redes sociales entre un investigador de CONICET y un defensor de la teoría terraplanista.
Para los que no lo saben, hay gente todavía que cree que la Tierra es plana y toda la evidencia científica al respecto les importa poco y nada.
Vamos a educar a los chicos diciéndole que la Tierra no es redonda. Exactamente.
Okay.
Vamos a hablar de fake news, que siempre hablamos de estas noticias falsas que se
let me
difunden en las
just,
redes sociales. pero
I'm
hay
gonna
una
put
ya que
this,
tampoco-
you know,
esta noticia es
as a background without sound. But this is all mainstream, top-level channels, and radios. And we have, for example, this is a comedy TV show that trying to, get loud, ridicule, exactly. This is radio shows, but this was, if you just take into consideration how many sources I am showing now, you can imagine it's like yeah. Yes. Yes, this is April. We made the conference in March, 2 of March. 1 month later, and still today, we are mentioned every single day. In fact, exactly, and that is. Yes.
And let's say what we call the third world, and we have a little bit more freedom to do whatever we want.
In fact, for example, in that picture, this is the actual president of Argentina, and they put the flat earthers, and he put the face of the president because the president was a reality denier, because the president says, no, the economics is not bad, we are working on it, and of course the people get that sensation, so they're trying to implement the idea that if you are a flat earther, you are a reality denier. So, they use even not just figures like the actual president. But for example, there is here. This guy is trying to say we are getting back to the 18th or 17th or 16th century. There's people now that say that the earth is flat and they don't want to get vaccinated, and they're trying to mix all together and trying to debunk.
No. He would be more like a Jay Leno type of
Yes.
figure. Yeah,
Yes.
but I mean at that level, he's very well known.
No, super well. Yeah,
Yeah.
he is. For example, this guy is trying to link the dollar situation with the flat Earth, for example. So they trying to link everything that is bad in the community to flat Earth, and they keep doing it. It's not just stop. They are really worried because the community is growing up every single day. In fact, 2 days ago we have a conference in Brazil, and Brazil has more than 10 million of flat earthers. And that is quite a lot. Yes, exactly. And of course, all our countries, they are all Freemasonry based. We all, our independence guy, they are all Freemasonry. So that is, maybe they are so worried. But going straight to, I just prepared this video with Richard for the Spanish community. This is in Spanish, and it was like accelerated for the time that we had for the conference. So we're gonna, you get the idea, right? Behind this, you get the idea. So we are talking about, if you want to give a quick, really brief.
Just go through those. What I'm pointing out here in these slides is Clarín is possibly, just to sum it up, similar, equivalent to the New York Times, maybe. Okay, that's a level.
The guy, the director of Clarín, not he's in person, but he received information from the Bilderberg group for implement the agenda into Argentina and Chile and these places. So this is not just like a third country paper news. We all tied to this main, biggest agenda. We have, okay. So how much time we have? 7 minutes, right? 10 minutes ago? Okay.
10 minutes ago.
Okay.
So
yes?
let me just point
sorry.
out.
Okay, no, we finished.
We're overdue. Okay.
No, but we have another guys to came, right?
Yeah.
Okay, no, it's okay.
Well, we went from Nur para Todos, which is Hiru's channel,
Yes.
live streaming, to this
sorry,
level.
guys, well, maybe that, doing in English was a little difficult, but the main idea is just that, we have the same